Hello everyone, I'm Dmitry. Today is Christmas Eve of 2019 and I decided to start to make a first video today for the channel where I'm going to tell about how to establish and start the cattle ranch from scratch. What you can see behind me is a property over in Siberia. In fact, it's South Siberia, Altai region. So I got this land about, I would say, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So far, I didn't get any cattle yet because I'm still working to establish the infrastructure here. So I want to talk about in this channel about every step of the way what it took me to start a cattle ranch from scratch on a piece of land in Siberia, in Altai. So first, the next few videos is going to be about what I've done so far here. As you can see right now, there's not much to show. We have like basically all the snow here on the fields, and of course I'm going to turn around here, all the hills behind me. So I have roughly, not sure how much exactly, but it's a few hundred acres here of land. In this video, I'm gonna add here some flyover of the property. Of course, it's been done in the summertime. Okay, so here we're gonna do a little flyover of the land, as I mentioned earlier. As you can see, first couple summers, 2 summers actually, that's right, we were trying to make some hay, which were pretty successful, even though you can see that the condition of these hay fields are not great. We were getting not enough, in my opinion, not enough hay of this acreage. But that's not the purpose of this video. All I wanted to show you here is that basically the combination of fields and the area in between the fields, as you can see right here, and some hills. So in the areas like this, you can see right now, there's usually will be a creek running in the low spot. So the water is not really a big issue for us here as well. We did some test drilling. We found water very shallow actually, but without the drilling, there's plenty of creeks running in every area in between those fields, you can see. But basically, if we move forward on this one, so this is the view from the hills. And the hills probably consist about 50% of all the property here. As I mentioned before, it's roughly about 750 to 1,000 acres. I think this is the more accurate estimate, right? Right there you can see 2 shipping containers. There will be a separate video on how I get them here. It was a very very big logistics operation on this road. This is the hill. So the property goes all the way to the top hill at the very furthest end, the tree line down there. So yeah, basically this is just, like I said, this overview of the area. The trees are predominantly birch trees with some larch and pine trees as well, but there was a total of 7 fields we see here, and that field is pretty much the last one, even though it's still on a hillside, but very easily can be cut, and hay can be cut from here as well. Even though the plan is not to do too much cutting, but to actually try to do some of the winter grazing, on the field, and see how, because we actually get snow, but it's not too deep. So I believe that there will be enough good grass underneath the snow, the cow can actually get to it. So we're just gonna do trying to do that. there's a good field right here. We actually, it's one of the field that actually is somewhat rectangular shape. But as I mentioned earlier, right, we can see that the trees are actually provide pretty good protection from the winds because when the wind is blowing, and especially in the winter, of course, I wanted to have some of the windbreaks, and these trees are works pretty good, from what I saw so far. Of course, there's no fencing, so all the fencing on all this property is going to be done uh, coming this spring. We're gonna start. We kind of started to do some of the tryout high tensile wire fencing here. Worked pretty good, but there was a lot more that needs to be completed. So this was the haying of the next year, I believe, after the first you saw at the beginning. But as I mentioned, there's not much of the hay we're getting. We're getting about 2 tons per hectare, so it's 2 tons of hay per 2.2 acres. So there's the shipping containers here now. As you can see, was in the middle of the shipping container barn construction. I also made a separate video about that, how we made it, how we built the roof over the top of it. This is the hills are pretty lush as well. The grass is actually, because it wasn't cut too much, the grass is actually growing pretty good on the hillside, on the sun side, on the south side, I guess, of the hill. And the tree line is basically the property line. That's where my property ends. That's where we launched the drone. And with that, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas and hope to see you soon again.